not going to allow this mass deportation. Our state policy, our state law does not allow for our state police to be involved in those situations. Now, what we have are some renegade counties in New York, because individual counties can sign a pact with ICE, and we have a lot of them, some on Long Island, some in upstate New York, where there's different political views. They are cooperating with their local police departments, but what I control is the state police, and they will not cooperate in that.
Tried to tell you this was all coming. This is our problem. This is our obstacle. One of the obstacles with mass deportation. Half the states in this country are run by filthy communists who want the country full of rapists and murderers. Joining me now, the great Julie Kelly. Her Substack is declassified. Julie, look, they're not afraid to put this stuff on camera. It doesn't matter that it's a losing political issue. They will run to the camera and brag all day long about all the barbarians they're going to keep from deportation.
It's just really insane, and especially not just these Democrat elected officials. Of course, we expect it from people like Kathy Hochul. But when you have federal judges, especially in the nation's capital, and as you know, Jesse, this is one of the big issues that I've been following, this ACLU lawsuit that was filed on behalf of illegal Venezuelans who the government, the Trump administration, has identified as being members of Tren de Aragua, a very dangerous, destructive, deadly multinational cartel. These thousands of them smuggled into the United States during the Biden regime. And now you have a federal judge who is not only put a halt to those deportation flights, sending these illegal Venezuelan gang members to El Salvador, he's grilling the Department of Justice and insisting that these illegals have some sort of due process rights that the Trump administration, the DOJ, DHS are violating. So, I was talking to a man recently. He is from Paraguay, and he said Americans just do not understand how dangerous this TDA cartel is. And clearly people like Kathy Hochul and Judge Boasberg and others don't as well.
This Judge Boasberg has quite an interesting family situation and an interesting background. He almost doesn't seem like an honest broker to me, Julie.
Right. Shockingly, here is Judge Boasberg, Jeb Boasberg right there. Not only was he the former chief judge of the FISA court when it was attempting successfully to infiltrate and spy on Donald Trump and his campaign, but yes, to your point, I believe his wife, his sister, maybe his daughter are tied to nonprofits that directly aid illegal immigrants. So just like so many judges in Washington, Jesse, you and I have talked about this related to the J6 case and, of course, the 2 federal criminal indictments against the president. These judges have all been, they're Washington Beltway lifers. Their family members are as well. They're all tied to the government or this Democratic lawfare apparatus. And Jeb Boasberg is just one example of that. But he is a highly partisan Obama-appointed judge. And now he's doing whatever he can to undermine what is strictly the president's purview, and that is creating immigration policy, foreign policy, diplomatic policy that this judge single-handedly, without authority, unchecked, wants to undermine and at the same time risk the security and safety of the American public.
Julie, I know you have wonderful sources. What are you hearing out of the Trump administration about all this? Because, pointing out the injustice is fine, right? I get to do that and you get to do that. But we need the Trump administration to save the country. And are they just going to abide by these judges' rules that the Supreme Court's not going to step in? And clearly they're in no hurry to do so. What's the plan?
That's such a good question, Jesse. And of course, everyone frustrated, but not necessarily surprised at the inaction and cowardice of the Supreme Court at this point. But look, Judge Boasberg, and I've written about this, is attempting to create a contempt trap for the Trump administration, claiming and insisting that they misled him and that they did not abide by his instantaneous temporary restraining orders on these flights that he issued on March 15th. So he's still trying to dig into the details of those flights, set up a contempt trap for whom I don't know, a DOJ attorney, one of the top cabinet officials. I mean, there's nothing standing in his way. And so the Trump Department of Justice, I know, is frustrated that they have to devote all of this time and resources to fighting these lawsuits. How many are there now? I think close to more than 5 dozen. So this is time and resources that, as you know, Jesse, they wanted to allocate to other investigations. They wanted to devote to shoring up at the border and kicking out these illegals, to drug trafficking. You saw FBI Director Kash Patel talk about that today during the Senate Intelligence hearing. And so this is really hamstringing the Department of Justice and FBI and other departments, quite frankly, from doing what they want to do. It's more wasted time. We saw this during the Trump administration. That was the whole purpose of special counsel Robert Mueller, who successfully hamstrung the first half of Trump's first administration. And now you have these organizations, labor organizations, ACLU, working hand in glove with these federal judges to delay and thwart as much as they can of the president's agenda once again.
Julie, Fatima Goss Graves is a name many people are familiar with, courtesy of you. She's the wife of Matthew Graves. Give us a little recap, or please give us a little recap on this couple from hell and what Fatima's been up to recently.
They are the couple of hell. Of course, there's lots of couples from hell in Washington, D.C., but this has to be towards the top of the list. So Matthew Graves, the D.C. U.S. attorney who was appointed by Joe Biden, he presided over not only all of the J6 prosecutions, but also, as you recall, refused to partner with special counsel David Weiss in his investigation into Hunter Biden's tax crimes committed in Washington, D.C. There is Matthew Graves right there. So more importantly, his wife, Fatima Goss Graves, runs a very profitable, powerful, radical left-wing nonprofit in Washington worth $90 to $100 million every year. There she is that she raises. She was at the Biden White House at least 40 times during the Biden administration. I reported on that as well. But it appears that now she is part of this coalition planning these demonstrations across the country against the president and against Elon Musk. And I'm not sure if this is tied to what they are doing at these dealerships or what they're planning to do at Tesla dealerships, but certainly her organization and she herself is a big part of this. She also was part of the coalition to try to force Clarence Thomas to resign. And of course, that's not going to happen. So now she has turned her sights and her influence and all of her money, big donors, big corporations, big law firms, et cetera, who donate to her National Women's Legal Center, Law Center. And now she is taking aim at the Trump administration again, and now Elon Musk as well.
Julie, have you gotten any indication? I've heard the talk from Pam Bondi and whatnot. Have you gotten any indication so far that there are going to be government people with handcuffs on? I know about the FBI's most wanted. That's good. I got all that. But I'm talking about criminals inside of the United States government, even ones who just left the United States government. Have we heard or gotten any kind of a sniff that there's going to be some kind of real accountability there?
I truly believe that there will be, Jesse. And I do think that this is another purpose of all of this lawfare is to take them off, put them on their heels, where they have to spend time and resources fighting all of these lawsuits. But of course, Pam Bondi did announce on day one the weaponization working group that she has. DC U.S. Attorney, the new one, Ed Martin, also investigating how prosecutors handle J6 cases, including the unlawful use of 1512C2, that obstruction felony brought against more than 300 J6ers and the president as well. And we know that the top DOJ officials and the FBI are looking into thousands of FBI employees who had their dirty, grubby mitts on J6, close to 1,600 before the case was closed. All of those investigations and prosecutions. Now, there's a lot of work to be done. I know there's frustration on our side. I see it. that no one yet has been charged and arrested, but it does take time to build these cases. And once again, unfortunately, and we sort of saw this with the climate slush fund, Citibank, they still are going to have to go to DC magistrate judges and others to try to get grand jury proceedings, subpoenas, and indictments. That is going to be a tough problem for the administration. We don't know if they've already sought criminal charges or indictments against any government employees that were turned down, that we saw in that climate slush fund investigation, and DOJ finally had to do it on its own. So this is another 180-degree angle of what these judges are doing in Washington to thwart the president's agenda. On the other hand, they can have act as very powerful interference in investigations and prosecutions in Washington against government employees in that city.
Julie, thank you, ma'am. As always, I appreciate you. I would thank you for coming to my YouTube channel, but I know how brilliant it is, and I know you love it here. So subscribe and watch. We're going to start really ramping things up and putting some funny stuff, some interesting stuff out there, some collaborations. Either way, my YouTube channel is officially the place to be. So stick around.